House of the Dragon is a prequel to the Game of Thrones, but in many ways it will be a very different show, and this is clear from its timeline, which starts about 200 years before the story of Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen, and everybody else. But it will be true in many other ways, like how the story is told, what it's based on, and the people who are in charge of making the show. And here's what we know about the movie so far. Kicking us off, HBO's new House of the Dragon trailer offers a peek at the Game of Thrones prequel. Winter, move over. Fire and blood are on their way to Westeros. HBO has put out the first official trailer for the House of the Dragon, a prequel series to the Game of Thrones that will premiere on August 21st. And the show takes place 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones, when King Viserys was in charge. I tell the troubled story of the House of Targaryen during that time, and of course, the Iron Throne is one of the things that everyone seems to want. House of the Dragon is based on the book Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin, and it will tell the story of Dance of the Dragons, the Targaryen civil war between Aegon II and Rhaenyra, who fought for the throne after their father died. During the war, the great houses of Westeros, like the Lannisters and the Starks, fight against each other. The most powerful dragons of House Targaryen die as a result, and Westeros wouldn't see another dragon for hundreds of years, all because of Daenerys Targaryen, Khaleesi. Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen is played by Emma Darcy. Prince Daemon Targaryen is played by Matt Smith. Otto Hightower is played by Rhys Ifans, and Alicent Hightower is played by Olivia Cooke. Lord Corlys Velaryon, who is called the Sea Snake by Steve Toussaint, will be played by Paddy Considine as the powerful King Viserys I. Eve Best plays Princess Rhaenyra Velaryon, and Fabian Franco plays Kristen Cole, and Sonia Mizuno plays Mysaria to round out the cast. Martin, Vince Gerardis, and showrunners Miguel Spachanik and Ryan Condal all work as executive producers on the show. Raymond Djawadi is coming back to write music for the prequel series. His award-winning score for Game of Thrones led to a world tour. Even though other shows set in Westeros are in the works, House of the Dragon is the only Game of Thrones spin-off show that has been confirmed so far. Martin has a 5-year development deal with HBO. He is in charge of making Tales of Drunk and Egg, 10,000 Ships, 9 Voyages, and Flea Bottom all come to life. Next is Corlys Velaryon back in the books. In House of the Dragon, Corlys Velaryon is black, which has gotten some bad reactions, but is good for the show and makes sense. Corlys Velaryon is not black in any of the books where he is mentioned, including Fire and Blood, and this may be the biggest gotcha of the discussion about who should play Corlys in the House of the Dragon. But he is also neither white nor black. Simply put, Corlys' skin color is never mentioned in the book, so there's no reason a black man can't play him in the House of the Dragon. Yes, he is of Valyrian descent, and yes, Valyrians are known for having pale skin, silver hair, and violet eyes. Corlys has these traits in the books, and just wait until people find out what Toussaint's real eye color is. But there is nothing there that proves all the people with Valyrian roots have pale skin. House Targaryen may have had a lot of people who were related by blood, but that wasn't the case with other houses. The Valyrian ships were like sea dragons that took them all over the known world, but Corlys' mother is never mentioned. She could have been black as well, and Corlys could have gotten traits from both of his parents. In A Song of Ice and Fire, the Valyrians are only mentioned briefly. In a chapter about Cersei Lannister from A Feast for Cows, it says that they came from old Valyrian stock. However, and some had the same silvery hair as the Dragon Kings of old. In the same way, the book The World of Ice and Fire talks about great beauty of the Valyrians with their hair of palest silver or gold and eyes and shades of purple not found amongst other people. So instead of skin color, these two things seem to be the most important ones. With that in mind, why Corlys Velaryon is black in House of the Dragon? One of the things that has been said about Game of Thrones, both during and after its run, is that it doesn't have enough different characters. Also, there were people of color on the show, but they didn't have any major roles, and those were often played roles like slave, like Missandei and Grey Worm, before the white Daenerys sets them free. Again, there is an argument about the source material. Most of the characters are white or thought to be white, and the show ran for almost a decade, so it wasn't around long enough to see how society and culture changed. In 2011, the fact that most of the actors and writers were white men might not have seen as such a big deal, but by 2019, it was. And part of this is because people's ideas change and grow, and part of it is because the show probably could have done more, and that's the chance that the House of the Dragon has taken, to have a more diverse cast and crew that can show more of the world. Corlys Velaryon being black is part of that, as if finding the right actor for the part. Toussaint is a screen veteran, and pictures of him as Lord Velaryon should be enough to show he's the perfect guy for the role, but if they aren't, the trailer of House of the Dragon does a good job of making the case. Ryan Condal himself explained the change to EW. He said, moving on, why Corlys Velaryon being black is good for House of the Dragon. Even if there was a clear textual evidence that Corlys Velaryon is supposed to have pale skin, casting a black actor wouldn't make much of a difference. As far as his character story goes, his Valyrian roots are important, but his skin color doesn't seem to be. And if there isn't such clear evidence, the arguments against Corlys being black fall apart, which is good for House of the Dragon. Representation matters, and fantasy stories should be for everyone. This lets a person of color play one of the most important, powerful, and simply best characters on the show, which should be something all audiences can enjoy and lets more people connect with or relate to the series in some way. In the same way, Westeros and the rest of the world of Game of Thrones should be different in many ways, not least because it has a long history of migration. Also, since leaving Valyria over 100 years ago, House Targaryen has spent that time traveling the world, so it makes sense that the family line would also become more diverse. And all of this makes the world of House of the Dragon feel richer, bigger, more populated, and like there are more things to be found off screen, which it should, and it doesn't change the story of the characters in any way. House of the Dragon is a show about dragons and incest, and Corlys Velaryon could very well be black. Finally, House of the Dragon will have no universally loved characters like Game of Thrones. Recently, author George R.R. Martin said that House of the Dragon won't have any characters that everyone loves like Game of Thrones. Martin met with THR recently to talk about the series. The author said that the upcoming show was like a Shakespearean tragedy, but he also said that there will be no characters as popular as Arya Stark in Game of Thrones. Martin liked how House of the Dragon was written and said that the characters are as human as they can be in a show with magic, dragons, and the dead. Fans of Martin's books were upset that the last few seasons of Game of Thrones didn't stick to what set up Martin in the books, so the fact that his characters were portrayed in a faithful way is a good sign. And the author also mentioned Arya, a popular survivor, as an example of a type of character who won't be in the next series, and this suggests that all of the new characters will have something to dislike. In Game of Thrones, which is full of murderers, rapists, and people who do every other bad thing you can think of, it was nice to see a character like Arya who had a single goal based on what she and many of the viewers thought were good reasons. During the first few seasons of the show, people she knew and trusted killed her friends and family. Even though Arya wanted to kill them, which was a terrible thing to do, what she did could be just seen as a just act. House of the Dragon will start airing next month on August 21st. On that day, people will get their first look at the new cast of shady and manipulative characters. Well, that's all the time we have for today, folks. Make sure to like and follow for more amazing content. Till next time, cheers.